Inspired by my newish series, How Much Money Zero Waste Can Save You, I bring you zero waste swaps, but they're free alternatives. Several of you suggested this in my last video that was about how much money zero waste living can save you. What if I just talked about zero waste swaps and their free alternative to show you that you don't always have to buy every popular zero waste swap. You can use what you already have. It'll save you just as much money, definitely more money actually, and just as much waste. So let's get into it. Hello everyone, it's Emma and welcome back to my channel where we talk about all sorts of things zero waste, focusing on free, easy, and fun ways to live low waste. I'm not knocking any of these brands. As I'm sure you'll catch on in this video, I will hype up a lot of these brands and I use them a lot. Just because I like them and use them doesn't mean that you will like them and use them, as well as why buy a brand when you can use what you already have for free. If you want to still support these brands, I still endorse plenty of them, but honestly, this video is all about the free stuff. Something that I don't think we talk about enough in the zero waste world is how buying a zero waste swap, yes, this reusable water bottle is eco-friendly, but it still takes resources to create. I'm not going to create waste using this product, but it did create emissions and probably byproduct to create this water bottle. Same with any of these reusable products that we're going to be talking about today. Yes, they're eco-friendly. Yes, they're probably made from eco-friendly materials, but it still used energy to create and ship those materials. So if you can find something in your home that you already have, you've already purchased, it's already been created, or you go secondhand and get something, that's going to be the most eco-friendly option, even if it doesn't look the most eco-friendly. So keep that in mind. First is stasher bags and crumbles. They're actually quite different zero waste swaps. Stasher bags are reusable zipper bags, and crumbles is like a sheet of silicone that you can wrap stuff in. It's kind of like a silicone version of the beeswax wrap. I love crumbles. They are much easier to wash by hand when you don't have a dishwasher. It's a very, very small business. When Stasher Bag is owned by P&G now, I think. So a mega corporation, which if you want me to dive into why mega corporations are bad for the planet, let me know. I would love to. So sure, you could go out and buy one of these fancy reusable options, or you can reuse something you already have. A jar, a plastic container. You could put a lid on top of a bowl. You can actually wash and reuse traditionally disposable zipper bags and reuse them a couple times before you throw them away. And with both of them running $20 to $40 a piece, this can save you a lot of money just using stuff that you already have. Similar to that is some sort of bowl cover, whether that be silicone, wax, or fabric. This is essentially an alternative to saran wrap or aluminum foil over top of dishes that don't have lids. I personally don't really like this swap. I don't like, beeswax wraps, etc. So I just don't use them. But a few ways to protect your food for free, like I mentioned already, just transferring that stuff into a container that does have a lid. If you just for some reason don't have any containers with lids, you can put a plate on top and then put it in the fridge. Or you could also just go out and thrift some containers instead of buying these expensive beeswax wraps. So not totally free, that last one, but it is cheaper. Paper towels. This is truly a swap that I never really understood when you have rags at home, probably. Paper towels are great, don't get me wrong. They're aesthetic, they're cute, they're very easy to use. I think it's a great stepping stone for people who want to get into zero waste living and still want to have something, cute and aesthetic as opposed to rags. But as a certified non-aesthetic girly, I just want to save money and I just want to use what I already have. And what I already have is rags. These are like washcloths that we got as, wedding gifts. These are old towels that I cut up into smaller towels to use as rags. They work great for cleaning up messes, drying spills, drying your hands, whatever sort of purpose you would use for paper towels, you can use rags for. And rags are much cheaper than unpaper towels. Alternatively, again, you can't just go to the thrift store and thrift some a cute set of rags or something like that. So that way it's still a little bit more aesthetic, but cheaper than buying unpaper towels. Next is a reusable coffee cup and a water bottle. Now, those definitely have their place. A lot of water bottles like this one are double wall insulated, meaning it keeps stuff hot or cold without making your hand hot or cold. And it also keeps it hot or cold much longer than a single walled insulated bottle. But maybe you're new to zero waste and you don't really want to spend, $40 on a new reusable water bottle or a reusable coffee cup. Use what you already have first while you save up the money and find that perfect cup for you. Of course, you can go to the thrift store. I'm sure that will be the theme throughout this video. A lot of this stuff you can thrift, or if you want to buy a brand new clean canteen, a brand new reusable coffee cup, you just don't want to yet, use what you already have in the form of jars. Jars are great to upcycle for so many uses, but they're great for carrying liquids. You can put a coffee in there and take it to go. You can put some water in there and take it in the car with you. As well as there's many brands out there that will sell like jar alternative lids. This is an old Parmesan lid that we got from my dad when we were in Ohio, and we have it on our nutritional yeast that I get at the bulk store. But there are other brands that will sell like straw attachments, sippy cup attachments, whatever attachments for your upcycled jars, so that way you can turn these jars into into multi-purpose things. You do have to buy new, tops, but it's cheaper than buying a whole new cup. So as you can see, there are many ways to reuse jars. And if you do want it to be a little bit insulated, what you can do is like put an old sock on the outside. You could crochet, knit, or sew something for the outside, or just put a couple rubber bands out there to protect your hands. In a recent video talking about zero waste swaps, I do not recommend save your money. You can check it out up here. I talked about bamboo utensils. Plenty of people in the comments said, I love bamboo utensils. What are you talking about? It's just proof that, not every zero waste swap is for every person. So if you're like me and you're like, I don't want to buy bamboo utensils, they don't look like they would work that well, and they're expensive, use what you already have. Go to your utensil drawer. See if you have an extra set of fork, spoon, knife. You don't necessarily need knife, chopsticks, straw, whatever you personally want to carry. Grab an extra one of each, put it in your purse, in your backpack, and you're good to go. If you don't have extras, you know it. Head to the thrift store. Going to the thrift store to get an extra set of utensils to reduce waste, so much cheaper than buying brand new. It ensures that you're not running out of utensils at home either. A zero waste, I don't even know if it's a swap, just a zero waste aesthetic thing that I see so many people having. Still to this day, not nearly as much as we did like in the early days of the zero waste movement, but that is matching glass jars. I see this all the time, and I get it. It is very cute, very aesthetic to have your bulk goods in matching jars, etc., etc. But as we already discussed, that's not for me. I'm not an aesthetic girly, and that's okay. Maybe you're not either. Because the cheaper and more eco-friendly thing to do, and that is to use what you already have in the form of pickle jars, peanut butter jars, jam jars, whatever jars you have. Reuse those for your bulk goods, for storage, whatever you're using a jar for. You don't need fancy matching jars. Again, you've already paid for that jar. You've already paid for that packaging. You might as well use it. You could be like me and leave the labels on your jars. Let me go find some. This jam jar still has its label on. It's okay. I'm sure this feels plastic. It feels like it would come off really easily. No, it's paper and it will not come off easily. And that's a big reason why I leave them on. Some of them don't come off easily, and I'm not about that. But this one, this Newman's Own salsa, came off so easy. There's still some glue residue back here, but I could literally not care less. So you can remove your labels to make your jars look cute. You could even paint the lids to make them match. Whatever you prefer. I kind of like having fun colors every now and then. So you could do it unaesthetically like me, or you can take off the labels, make them look really nice and neat, and actually take your reused jars and make them look cute. Reusable cotton rounds. Don't buy them. Make them. There are lots of ways to make them fancy with sewing methods and other sort of methods, or you could just simply take an old t-shirt, cut it into squares, and you're done. Just cutting, no sewing. I would recommend stuff like pinking shears. They're like jagged edge scissors. That prevents fraying. Or you can just use fabric scissors and hope for the best. Many sorts of fabrics like polyester are not going to fray anyway. And this is a great way to reuse clothing that, you can't sell, you can't donate, can't wear yourself. And it's a totally free way for you to acquire like reusable makeup pads, reusable whatever sort of things that you use cotton rounds for. The favorite ones that I have made are made from an old pillowcase. I think I folded it over twice and then I did sew along the edges. It turned out so nice. I use them all the time for putting on toner, makeup remover. I use them for other things too. Wait, actually I just thought of one. Bonus! I just thought of this one because I'm scratching all of my mosquito bites while I'm filming this. I started off this video by putting on this Kinfield one. No problems with it. It's great. It works really well, but you do have to purchase it. Granted, you do have to purchase this kind of as well. This natural remedy that I found on Google when I first started getting attacked by mosquitoes is literally baking soda and water. Baking soda costs like $1.50 a box. You can have endless anti-itch with baking soda and water. And it's zero waste. It literally comes in paper. But anyway, in all seriousness, let's move on to the next one, which is reusable tissues. This is very, very similar to reusable cotton rounds. Take an old t-shirt, something that's stained, already torn, etc., cut it into squares, and you have reusable tissues. I know this isn't everyone's favorite zero waste swap, but it is one of my favorite zero waste swaps. I use them all the time. They don't hurt my nose. They also are great for cleaning off glasses, etc. I love that they're multi-purpose. And again, you can make it yourself at home, no sewing, out of something that you already had that was probably destined for the landfill anyway. Totally eco-friendly. In fact, it's more eco-friendly than buying something brand new, and it'll save you a lot of money and waste. Something else you can make yourself instead of buying is cleaners. Yes, I do love a good zero waste cleaner as much as the next guy from, brands like Clean Coal and Blue Land. They do all the hard work for you. You just combine it with water at home and you're good to go. But they can get expensive. So why spend all that money when you can make a cleaner for free with just citrus and vinegar? A very popular alternative is to also use fir needles in wintertime after your Christmas tree is dead. But you also don't have to soak anything in the vinegar. That just kind of helps dilute the smell of the vinegar. Citrus and pine and fir, they add some cleaning elements as well. But you can also just use straight white vinegar. Dilute it with some water first. But other at-home cleaners are things like lemons, baking soda, and salt. You already have them, or it's very, very cheap to buy if you're buying it new. They're really easy to make, they're very effective and very cheap. You also don't have to buy new reusable grocery bags. You can use what you already have, and I guarantee you probably already have some lying around. I know I'm not the only one who's walked into like a self-checkout or a checkout in general and been like, oh, I forgot my bags in the car, let me just buy one real quick. And then that happens, you know, 5, 10, 20 times, and now you have a collection of reusable grocery bags. Use those first. Or maybe you've never done that before. Good for you. Instead, go to the thrift store. Thrift stores have tons of tote bags because of people like that who just buy totes and totes and totes so they don't have to use the disposables. Don't do that, by the way. It's actually not good for the environment for you to do that. But as always, shopping secondhand is better than buying new. So forget going out and buying brand new grocery bags that cost you a lot of money. Use stuff that has already been created and use stuff that you already have. There are other options here as well. You can check your local Buy Nothing group. If you have never heard of this before, you can check out this video up here, or you can make a reusable grocery bag out of stuff that you already have. Similar to that is produce bags. When I first started living zero waste, I made my own produce bags out of like old light fabric and yarn and stuff, and they worked really well. I just personally don't like using reusable produce bags, so you can just stop using them altogether. Now this is a sewing project, so you do need to learn or know how to sew to make these, and I didn't use a pattern, I made it up, but I'm sure there's patterns out there on the internet. And of course, you know the drill by now. If you want some like fancy ones, check secondhand, because I'm sure there's people out there like me who would buy, you know, brand new reusable produce bags and then not use them and then give them away secondhand. So check secondhand. I'm so glad that I thought of this next one. That is an e-reader. You do not need an e-reader to read in an eco-friendly way. The best thing that you can do for the planet when it comes to reading is to borrow. Now you can borrow on an e-reader. You can hook up your e-reader to your library through apps like Libby and Hoopla and download and borrow ebooks and audiobooks for free. Skip all of that. Skip buying the e-reader and go straight to your library and borrow physical books. Other options are free little libraries. These are little library boxes that you can find around towns, cities, often in places like churches will have them as well. I've seen them all over the place in parks, etc., where you can get rid of books for free and take free books. Thrift stores are also a great place to find books secondhand for cheap. And if you want to get secondhand books, but actually like look for titles and genres, I highly recommend thrift books. Sure, it's fun to go into a Goodwill and browse the book section, but sometimes that can be overwhelming. It's so easy to go on thrift books and type in like The Hunger Games, the exact title I want, and find that book secondhand for very cheap. Now, if you are looking for an e-reader, again, look secondhand. E-readers, a piece of tech, can be very harmful to create from new, and it'll save you a lot of money to find one secondhand. I can't believe I haven't mentioned it until now, but you can learn about the importance of shopping secondhand in this video. Something I see a lot in the zero waste world is like, you know, buy this cute notebook, buy this cute notebook. It's made from recycled paper or made from stone, which like those are really cool, don't get me wrong, but they're pricey, and guess what? You probably already have scrap paper lying around. Let me show you my stack right there. Growing up, my mom would buy like these long notes to stick on the fridge to use for grocery lists, and those are fine. I started doing that too when Dan and I first moved in together, but now I collect scrap pieces of paper. These blue ones are pieces of paper we get for our ballots in Washington. Let's see what else we have here. Another thing from voting, but it's blank on the back, so it makes a perfect little grocery list. Piercing Aftercare. I believe that one was from a piercing in Ohio. In these bigger ones, look how much blank paper is here. I just fold it over and over again and keep reusing it. This is from the VA. You get the point. I come into contact with so much scrap paper at work via the mail, and so anytime that there's a blank piece on there, I fold it, I save it, and I put my grocery list on here, because for me, grocery lists don't have to be cute. They have to be practical. They have to get me my items that I need without buying stuff that I don't need, without reducing food waste, and it's also reducing physical waste. I don't have to buy anything brand new, and this is just going to get recycled anyway. I might as well get more use out of it before putting it in the recycling bin. Now, for things like, here we go. I do use a notebook for, this is my YouTube notes for when I take notes for like my captions and timestamps and that sort of stuff. Every time I need a new notebook, I go to the thrift store. Oh, I put some Patagonia stickers on there. It's not the cutest notebook in the world, but it's only for me. I'm using it for YouTube, and it was much cheaper and much more waste-free shopping secondhand, as I've said a million times in this video. Lastly for today is composting. I want you to stop composting. Just kidding. I want you to stop composting to an extent. I think oftentimes we think of composting as the first solution, as we often do with recycling, when we should be focusing on, instead of recycling, reusing, upcycling, and instead of composting, eating that food waste. If something is moldy, don't eat it. If something is gross, don't eat it. But if you just have a brown banana that's still perfectly edible, find a way to use that instead. A broccoli stem that's perfectly edible, find a way to eat it. Yes, composting is fine, but eating it is much better than composting, and composting is better than the landfill. If you want to get into composting, you can check out this video up here, 12 different ways that you can start composting right now. And in the future, when my life is a little bit less crazy and we're finally settled down somewhere, hopefully with this winter, I want to make a video on this topic. All the different ways that I personally incorporate food waste into my diet, and also our dog's diet, Denahi. He eats a lot of our food waste, broccoli stems, beets, beet peels, beet greens, carrot tops, etc. And how I also incorporate food waste into my regular, eating routine, my regular diet, in the form of like using brown bananas to make banana bread or smoothies. What else do I use? How you can repurpose floppy carrots, how you can reuse green onions. Always think before you compost food, and especially if you don't have access to compost, always think before you throw food away. Food waste in the landfills is super pollutive. It emits methane emissions. So find some ways to eat your food waste. I think there was about 12 zero waste swaps and their free alternatives, but there are more out there. I would love to make a part 2. I already have some ideas, and I'm sure you have some ideas. So leave yours down below. What are some low waste swaps that you avoid and you use the free alternatives for? If you're new here, I have plenty of more content that you would love, including my full Zero Waste on a Budget series, which has over 375 ways to live zero waste totally for free. My new series, which is how much money a zero waste life can save you, and so much more. As I say in all my intros, I love talking about how to live zero waste free, easy, fun, and make it accessible for everyone regardless of your budget, if you're disabled, how much time you have, and so forth. I want zero waste to be practical and to show you that, you don't have to have solar panels and drive an EV to live zero waste. You can simply eat broccoli stems and reuse scraps of paper for your grocery list. That's zero waste. That's actually probably more zero waste than buying an EV because it requires you to buy nothing and reduces more waste. Anyway, that's a topic for another day. Thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video, found it interesting, and you like this topic. If you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe. I'll see you in the next video, but until then, remember that your small actions make a big difference in the long run. Bye, guys. Future me put this in the introduction. Plenty of people in the comments said, I love bamboo utensils in the form of peanut butter jars, pickle bars, in the form of, hey, future me, once again. This is in the beginning.